Harley-Davidson has just made a move that no one saw coming, one that could redefine its future. After years of chasing luxury and losing its core audience, Harley dropped a bombshell price on the Nightster, leaving fans stunned. Is this a bold comeback or a desperate gamble? The price of legacy. When tradition becomes a burden. Harley-Davidson has long stood as a symbol of American freedom, rebellion, and rugged individualism. For over 120 years, the iconic brand has been synonymous with the open road, roaring engines, and a sense of pride unique to its riders. The unmistakable rumble of a Harley motorcycle, the chrome gleaming under the sun, and the rich legacy of craftsmanship all form an integral part of its identity. However, this very legacy, once seen as an unshakable strength, has increasingly become a burden. As the world moves forward, innovation has become the hallmark of success, and tradition alone no longer guarantees relevance. Harley-Davidson, however, has often been reluctant to break free from its roots. The brand has relied heavily on the appeal of its storied past, marketing itself as the last bastion of classic American craftsmanship. While this approach worked for decades, it has left Harley vulnerable to changing market dynamics. One critical issue is the brand's resistance to modernizing its product line. While competitors like Ducati and Indian have introduced sleek, innovative designs that cater to modern riders, Harley has remained stubbornly loyal to its tried-and-true aesthetic. The result? A product lineup that often feels stuck in a bygone era, unable to captivate younger audiences. Moreover, Harley's emphasis on maintaining its heritage has alienated some potential customers who see the brand as outdated. Instead of embracing change, the company has often doubled down on tradition, branding itself as the keeper of a rugged, old-school aesthetic. While this resonates with loyalists, it does little to attract the next generation of motorcyclists who seek modern performance, fuel efficiency, and digital connectivity. Yet, while Harley clings to its past, other motorcycle manufacturers are moving ahead with bold, innovative designs and marketing strategies. The question remains, can Harley evolve without losing the essence that made it legendary? But as Harley struggles with tradition, another challenge looms large. Its high price tag is driving riders away. The cost of exclusivity. How pricing drove away riders. For decades, Harley-Davidson cultivated an image of exclusivity. Owning a Harley wasn't just about having a motorcycle, it was a statement of identity, a badge of belonging to a rugged, rebellious culture. However, that sense of pride came at a steep cost. As Harley continued to position itself as a premium brand, prices soared, pushing away many of the blue-collar riders who once formed its core customer base. The reality is stark. Harley motorcycles have become prohibitively expensive. With entry-level models priced around $15,000 and more advanced cruisers exceeding $30,000, the average buyer has been priced out. The result? A shrinking customer base that can no longer afford to buy new Harleys. Meanwhile, competitors like Indian and Honda have capitalized on this gap. The Honda Rebel, for instance, starts at just around $5,000, offering an accessible entry point for new riders. Indian Motorcycles has also diversified its lineup with more affordable models that don't sacrifice performance. The difference in pricing is not just a financial issue, it's a philosophical one. Harley's decision to focus on premium models signaled a departure from the everyday rider who once defined the brand. The numbers tell the story. Over the past decade, Harley's domestic sales have steadily declined, while brands that offer affordable alternatives have seen a surge. Data from industry reports indicate that Harley's market share among young riders has plummeted, as new entrants flock to brands that offer similar performance at a fraction of the cost. Yet even if Harley could lower prices, it still faces another daunting challenge: keeping up with technological advancements. The tech gap, falling behind in the innovation race. Motorcycles are not just about style and sound, they are increasingly about technology. Brands like Zero Motorcycles and Ducati have embraced this reality, incorporating advanced electronics, electric drivetrains, and smart connectivity into their latest models. Harley-Davidson, on the other hand, has been slow to catch up. The most glaring example of Harley's tech struggles was the Livewire, a high-performance electric motorcycle launched to great fanfare. Unfortunately, the bike's hefty price tag of nearly $30,000 and its perceived lack of authenticity alienated core Harley fans. While competitors developed electric models that blended performance with practicality, Harley's offering felt forced and disconnected from its heritage. Moreover, Harley has been slow to integrate digital features into its mainstream bikes. While other brands now offer advanced rider aids, smartphone connectivity, and GPS integration as standard, Harley's tech offerings often feel outdated and overpriced. This lack of innovation makes the brand appear out of touch in a market increasingly driven by tech-savvy consumers. While Harley once thrived on its visceral, mechanical appeal, the world has moved on to appreciate bikes that offer both tradition and innovation. By failing to anticipate this shift, Harley risks losing relevance among modern motorcyclists who expect their bikes to be as smart as their smartphones. But while Harley fades, other brands are quietly building empires by doing the one thing Harley forgot: staying true to their roots. We put serious research into understanding Harley-Davidson's struggles and their latest bold move. If you're finding our breakdown insightful, hit that subscribe button. Japanese precision: how Honda and Yamaha redefined cruisers. While Harley-Davidson struggled to find its footing, Japanese motorcycle manufacturers, namely Honda and Yamaha, saw an opportunity, and they seized it with precision. For years, Harley had positioned itself as the ultimate cruiser brand, but slowly and quietly, Honda and Yamaha began to redefine what a cruiser could be. The Honda Rebel series became a game changer. It wasn't just about reliability, although Honda's reputation for building dependable machines certainly played a role. It was about creating cruisers that felt accessible without sacrificing character. The Rebel 300, 500, and 1100 offered a range of choices for every rider. From new motorcyclists to seasoned veterans, Honda's Rebels delivered comfort, style, and most importantly, affordability. Then there was Yamaha with its Bolt series, a minimalist, no-nonsense approach to cruising that resonated with urban riders. The Bolt's air-cooled V-twin engine delivered enough grunt without being intimidating, making it a favorite among those who wanted the cruiser experience without the Harley price tag. Yamaha's philosophy was simple: make bikes that work and work well, without the need for excessive chrome or overly complicated tech. One thing that set these Japanese cruisers apart was the balance between functionality and personality. While Harley's bikes were often seen as loud statements of rebellion, Honda and Yamaha focused on practical design choices. Low seat heights, comfortable ergonomics, and straightforward maintenance made them a practical choice for everyday riders. Harley's challenge became clear: exclusivity was no longer enough. Riders didn't want to buy into a lifestyle. They wanted a machine that worked for their lives. Honda and Yamaha tapped into a new mindset, one that prioritized rideability over image. And as more riders chose Japanese cruisers, Harley found itself being pushed aside in its own backyard. While Japan quietly claimed the cruiser crown, another unexpected challenger was making waves: Europe. And they were bringing a whole new vibe to the table. European Intrusion, when style and performance meet. For years, European motorcycles were synonymous with speed and precision rather than cruising comfort. Brands like Ducati, BMW, and Triumph focused on sport and adventure, leaving the cruiser segment largely to the Americans. But as Harley's grip on the cruiser market weakened, European manufacturers saw a chance to innovate. The BMW R18 became an instant statement. With its massive boxer engine, retro styling, and meticulous craftsmanship, it embodied the rugged spirit Harley had once owned. But unlike Harley's more static approach, BMW incorporated modern suspension technology and ride modes, blending old-school charm with contemporary engineering. Riders who wanted classic aesthetics without sacrificing performance found a new icon in the R18. Ducati's Scrambler, on the other hand, embraced versatility. Rather than going head-to-head with traditional cruisers, it offered a hybrid experience, a bike that looked vintage but handled like a modern roadster. Ducati didn't just replicate a Harley-style cruiser, they crafted something unique, appealing to younger riders who valued aesthetics without compromising agility. What set European brands apart was their commitment to quality and design. They didn't just borrow from the past, they reimagined it. BMW's attention to detail and Ducati's passion for performance made their cruisers feel purposeful rather than nostalgic. In a market where riders increasingly valued versatility, Harley's strictly classic approach felt rigid. European bikes were seen not just as motorcycles, but as statements of refinement. They combined the feel of vintage craftsmanship with the assurance of cutting-edge technology. Riders didn't have to choose between tradition and innovation. They got both. As Europe redefined cruising with style and substance, a new wave was about to hit the industry, driven by a completely different philosophy: electric power. The new wave, electric and hybrid cruisers. As the world moved towards sustainability, motorcycles were no exception. Electric and hybrid cruisers, once considered futuristic fantasies, became reality. Brands like Zero Motorcycles led the charge, offering sleek, silent bikes that delivered instant torque and zero emissions. In a market traditionally dominated by roaring engines, electric bikes represented a radical shift. Harley's own attempt at going electric, the Livewire, was both ambitious and risky. Priced at nearly $30,000, it aimed to bring Harley into the modern era. Yet the response was mixed. While some praised its speed and smooth handling, others lamented the loss of the iconic Harley Rumble. For many, it felt less like an evolution and more like a departure from what made Harley iconic. The challenge for Harley was not just creating electric bikes, but making them feel like Harley. Riders who grew up with the sound of a V-twin found the silence unsettling. Meanwhile, brands like Zero focused less on legacy and more on innovation, capturing the attention of younger, tech-savvy riders. Electric motorcycles appealed not just because of their eco-friendliness, but due to their efficiency. Younger generations valued practicality over tradition, and they saw electric bikes as a forward-thinking choice. For Harley, the question remained: could they attract this new demographic without alienating their traditional base? With electric and hybrid bikes challenging tradition, Harley found itself at a crossroads. Could they modernize without losing their soul? The answer would determine whether they could survive in an industry where innovation increasingly outweighed legacy. The Corporate Conundrum: profits over passion. In the quest for profitability, Harley-Davidson's leadership may have lost sight of what truly made the brand iconic. For decades, Harley wasn't just a motorcycle manufacturer, it was a cultural phenomenon, embodying freedom, rebellion, and the raw spirit of the American road. But somewhere in the boardroom, a shift occurred. The focus moved from maintaining this legacy to squeezing every possible dollar out of the brand's image. One glaring example is the ill-fated Livewire launch. Harley sought to compete with emerging electric motorcycle brands by releasing the Livewire, an electric bike that was supposed to signal a new innovative direction. Priced at nearly $30,000, the Livewire was marketed as a high-tech, forward-thinking machine. However, the core Harley audience, loyalists who valued the roar of the V-twin engine and the classic aesthetic, felt alienated. For them, Harley's embrace of electric technology felt not only premature, but almost sacrilegious. The launch was met with lukewarm enthusiasm at best and outright hostility at worst. At the heart of the problem was a fundamental misunderstanding. Harley's decision-makers believed they could reinvent the brand without honoring its roots. They pursued new markets while disregarding the very culture that had kept the company alive for over a century. Instead of making incremental changes that balanced tradition with innovation, Harley opted for a bold leap, one that many felt ignored their identity entirely. Internally, this tension between heritage and modernization created a divide. Some executives pushed for a future-oriented strategy, while others cautioned against abandoning the core ethos. The result? A series of inconsistent decisions, wavering between maintaining legacy and chasing fleeting trends. These internal conflicts not only weakened Harley's strategic direction, but also signaled confusion to their consumer base. As profits took precedence over passion, Harley's leadership found itself increasingly disconnected from the riding community. The lack of clear vision was evident in subsequent product releases, marketing campaigns, and dealership strategies. Harley's community, once proud to ride and represent the brand, began to feel sidelined, and when the leadership wavers, the riders lose faith. But while corporate missteps were damaging, the real blow came when Harley's American spirit found itself outsourced. The production shift: American pride versus global efficiency. Few brands have tied themselves to American identity as tightly as Harley-Davidson. For generations, buying a Harley meant buying into a legacy of American craftsmanship, blue-collar pride, and local manufacturing. However, as global economic pressures mounted, Harley began shifting some of its production overseas, a move that many loyal riders perceived as betrayal. Manufacturing parts abroad and assembling them domestically allowed Harley to cut costs, but it also diluted the authenticity that was central to the brand's appeal. When images surfaced of Harley components stamped "Made in Thailand" or "Made in India," die-hard fans were outraged. How could a symbol of American freedom be built on foreign soil? The backlash was swift and fierce. The strategic rationale was clear. Rising labor costs in the United States and tariff challenges made foreign production financially attractive. To compete with lower-priced competitors from Japan and Europe, Harley needed to lower its production expenses. The decision to manufacture abroad was, in many ways, a survival tactic. Yet the message it sent was devastating. For many, it wasn't just a practical decision, it was a symbolic surrender. In an age where authenticity is more valued than ever, Harley's choice seemed tone-deaf. The company failed to foresee that even if the bikes maintained their quality, the perception of them being less American would overshadow any cost-saving benefits. It was a textbook example of how globalization can conflict with brand heritage. Yet, even as production moved overseas, Harley's messaging remained mired in confusion, leading to another critical failure: marketing missteps, lost in the noise. When it comes to iconic brands, consistency in messaging is key. For Harley-Davidson, however, marketing in recent years has been anything but consistent. In an effort to appeal to both traditional riders and new younger audiences, the company's campaigns became muddled and often contradictory. As Harley struggled to define itself, consumers were left wondering, what does Harley-Davidson stand for today? One notable misstep was Harley's attempt to market the live wire as both a cutting-edge innovation and a continuation of its legacy. This dual messaging didn't resonate with either audience. Traditionalists saw it as a betrayal of the classic Harley image, while younger, tech-savvy riders found it overpriced and out of touch with the electric motorcycle market. Harley's effort to please everyone ended up pleasing no one. Moreover, Harley's branding often failed to address cultural shifts among riders. Younger generations, particularly millennials and Gen Z, value affordability and practicality over heritage. Harley's marketing, however, continued to emphasize rugged individualism and nostalgia without addressing the real needs and desires of modern bikers. The result was a disconnect between Harley's image and what potential new customers actually wanted. Social media also proved to be a double-edged sword. Instead of capitalizing on influencer culture and user-generated content, Harley's social media presence remained largely corporate and unengaging. While competitors embraced community-driven narratives, Harley stuck to traditional branding, which felt outdated and unrelatable. Without a clear, unified message, Harley's legacy seemed increasingly fragmented. With the brand's identity slipping, the question now becomes, is it too late for Harley to rebrand and reconnect? Strategic reset. Is it too late to rebrand? Harley-Davidson is at a crossroads. The brand that once dominated American roads now faces a critical question. Can it adapt without losing what made it iconic? A strategic reset seems not only necessary but inevitable. However, rebranding Harley requires a delicate balance between modern innovation and cherished tradition. One potential path forward is to focus on affordability and inclusivity. The recent price drop of the Nightster, bringing it below the $10,000 mark, showed that Harley could still surprise the market. Offering more budget-friendly models while maintaining the classic Harley feel could help regain lost customers. The challenge lies in doing this without cheapening the brand's image. Another strategy would be to embrace a dual identity, one line of traditional rumbling bikes for loyalists and a separate line of modern eco-friendly machines for new riders. This way, Harley could avoid alienating either demographic while broadening its appeal. Community engagement should also be a cornerstone of Harley's comeback strategy. Rebuilding trust through localized events, rider clubs, and grassroots marketing could reignite the sense of belonging that once defined the brand. But even with a well-planned rebrand, the ultimate question remains: will riders give Harley another chance? In a market saturated with innovative and affordable options, regaining loyalty will require not just new bikes, but a renewed commitment to what made Harley legendary. The road ahead is daunting, but if Harley can find the right balance, it just might reclaim its throne. Reviving the spirit? Can nostalgia save Harley? Harley-Davidson has long been synonymous with American motorcycling. Its iconic designs, roaring engines, and rugged charm have carved out a special place in the hearts of riders for generations. However, in recent years, Harley has faced a crisis of identity. As competitors push forward with modern technology and aggressive pricing, Harley's heritage feels increasingly like a relic rather than a selling point. The question now is whether Harley can successfully revive its spirit without being trapped in the past. One potential path forward is reviving classic models, but updating them with modern technology. Imagine the iconic Harley-Davidson knucklehead or panhead reimagined with today's advancements. More efficient engines, lightweight frames, and enhanced rider comfort. The key would be preserving the soul of these models while making them practical for modern riders. This strategy would not only capitalize on nostalgia, but also appeal to a new generation that craves vintage aesthetics without sacrificing usability. Harley needs to learn from brands that have successfully pulled off this balancing act. Take Triumph, for instance. When Triumph reintroduced the Bonneville, it stayed true to its classic lines and retro feel while upgrading the engine, suspension, and electronics to meet contemporary standards. The result? A bike that looks timeless but performs like a modern machine. Similarly, Indian Motorcycles revived the Scout with a design that pays homage to its historic roots while delivering a smooth, powerful ride. These brands didn't abandon tradition, they enhanced it. Reviving classic models could do more than just sell bikes. It could reignite a sense of pride among Harley's loyalists, many of whom feel alienated by the brand's recent ventures into electric and high-priced premium models. The classic appeal, when paired with thoughtful modernization, might just be the winning formula. However, relying solely on nostalgia could be a trap. In a market that demands innovation, Harley cannot afford to ignore future trends. The challenge is balancing reverence for history with the demands of the present. If Harley can pull it off, they may just recapture the spirit that made them legendary. But even if nostalgia works, it's only part of the solution. Innovation versus tradition. Finding the balance. The motorcycle industry is evolving at breakneck speed, driven by technology and shifting consumer expectations. Harley finds itself at a crossroads. Should it continue to innovate or stick to its traditional roots? This dilemma is at the core of Harley's struggle to remain relevant. On one side, sticking to tradition means retaining the core audience that cherishes the unmistakable sound and feel of a Harley. On the other, embracing innovation means attracting a younger demographic that values technology, sustainability, and modern aesthetics. One example of this conflict is Harley's venture into electric motorcycles with the Livewire. While technologically impressive, the Livewire's high price and lack of traditional appeal alienated many loyalists. It became clear that while innovation is crucial, it must be introduced in a way that does not feel like a betrayal of Harley's identity. Other brands have demonstrated how to strike this balance. Royal Enfield introduced the Interceptor 650, which maintains a classic aesthetic while incorporating modern fuel injection and electronic ignition. Similarly, Ducati managed to combine heritage and innovation with the Scrambler series, which features retro styling but modern performance. These models appeal to both traditionalists and new riders alike. For Harley, the key might lie in creating models that offer modularity, bikes that can be customized with either retro or modern elements depending on the rider's preference. This approach would allow Harley to offer both electric and gasoline options without abandoning its roots. Riders could choose a minimalist, old-school build or opt for tech upgrades like smart dashboards and anti-lock braking systems. However, there is a risk in investing too heavily in cutting-edge innovation. If Harley abandons its iconic design language entirely, it risks alienating the very riders who have kept it afloat for decades. Finding the balance between innovation and tradition is crucial. If Harley can craft a lineup that respects its heritage while incorporating selective modern advancements, it may secure its place in both the present and the future. But even if Harley bets on innovation, can it really reclaim its throne? Reconnecting with the community, Harley's forgotten foundation. Harley-Davidson's success was never just about motorcycles, it was about a culture, a lifestyle, and a sense of belonging. For decades, Harley riders formed tight-knit communities, bonded over road trips, rallies, and the shared love of the open road. However, in recent years, Harley has lost touch with this vital aspect of its brand. As dealerships closed and community events dwindled, the once vibrant Harley culture began to fade. Rebuilding this connection means more than just organizing a few rallies. It requires a grassroots approach that prioritizes real community engagement. Harley could reignite its following by partnering with local motorcycle clubs, sponsoring charity rides, and hosting regional events tailored to each community's unique spirit. Additionally, Harley needs to listen more actively to its community through forums, social media interactions, and rider surveys to understand what they truly want. One successful example comes from Indian Motorcycles, which has made great strides in fostering rider loyalty by hosting branded rides and maintaining strong dealership networks. Indian's community-first approach has not only increased sales, but also revived a sense of ownership and pride among its riders. Harley must learn from this strategy and reestablish its roots in the rider community. Moreover, Harley could launch a loyalty program that rewards riders not just for purchases, but for participation in community events, club memberships, and local dealership interactions. Such an initiative could help bridge the gap between the brand and its disillusioned fan base. But even community support won't matter if Harley can't adapt to a changing market. The road to redemption. A last chance for Harley. Harley-Davidson is at a turning point. To secure its future, the brand must adopt a multifaceted strategy that combines nostalgia, innovation, community engagement, and strategic branding. Simply put, Harley must remember its past without being trapped by it, embrace modern technology without losing its soul, and reconnect with its community while addressing the needs of the next generation of riders. One crucial move would be to diversify its lineup. Offering a broader range of entry-level bikes priced under $10,000 could draw in younger riders. Simultaneously, Harley should maintain its premium models for die-hard enthusiasts. The Nightster's recent price drop shows that affordable models can generate significant buzz. Beyond pricing, Harley must refine its brand image. Emphasizing craftsmanship, American roots, and reliability could rebuild trust. Partnering with local dealerships to offer exclusive experiences and fostering a community-centric brand image will also help reconnect with its core audience. Thanks for watching. Do you think Harley's comeback plan will succeed, or is it too little too late? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth analyses on the motorcycle industry.